Good evening, good evening. It's your boy, Mark, and MUFC fan, guys, and you know what it is. Your boy is on the road, but I'm still gonna bring you some content at the best of my ability. And I have a question for everyone in the fan base, all of you, you Man United lovers, just like me, and all my friends. And I got some panelists here for you guys tonight. And of course, we're gonna be discussing this one question. Has Amorim's system implementation, is it a success, guys? What would you say? What are your thoughts, guys? Let me know in the comments. What do you think? Is it a success or is it a measure of success? Any measure that you can take or you have an opinion on, let us know what you're thinking, guys, because realistically, this is where we're at right now. You know, the season is winding down. Of course, it might be to a crescendo because the Europa League semifinal is Thursday. We could be booking our places in the final. We've got a foot already in the door. And guys, what can I tell you? I'm excited. I know you are excited because this is a big moment for the football club. It's definitely going to seriously impact our transfer window. Of course, guys, you know this transfer summer, everyone is talking about Matthias Cunha, the possibility of Gyökeres, the possibility of Osimhen, Liam Delap. There's also reports. There's also midfielders the likes of Chris Riggs, Franco Matsuatano. There's a host of players and possibilities that could be coming into the club this summer. But most importantly, guys, what are we going to do with these players? Is Amorim doing something that shows you and gives you confidence that we're going to improve next season? Well, let's hear some of the panelists. My first guest on tonight, of course, my brother, Bali Tech. Have no fear because he is here. Let's hear what he has to say. Big up to Los Blancos in the building. He's going to be jumping on shortly to give his views as well. But you know, Temba, the underground Man United fan, he's got Real Madrid on his brain and a lot to think about. So, Bali, my brethren, long time no see. Haven't been live in a while. We are here. What are your thoughts? How do you feel?
Yeah, first of all, big up to everyone in the chat. Obviously, it's the Mark and MUFC show, and we're here to bring you some intellectual football discussions. So don't mess around. Subscribe and like to the channel. It boosts the algorithm and it helps the show. So yeah, so what are we starting off with, bro?
Well, the first question, the main question, the real question. Has Amarim's system implementation been a success? The manager has been here 5 months, give or take, five and a half, maybe 6 months now. You know, going on 6 months possibly. It's been a up and down situation with the club since his coming into the club. But you know, I there have been lots of criticisms of games winning, games that we've lost, games that we could have won, games that we've drawn. But apart from all of those things, from observing it now, as you've seen, 15 to 20 games of Amarim this season, could you say that the implementation of his system on a basic level, intermediate level, or to some extent been a success? Or what are your thoughts?
I think the answer is kind of like a yes and no for me. And the reason why I say that is because before he came in, I did a lot of research on how Sporting like to play and what are the patterns and the type of things that they like to do, from everything from their build-up phase to their attacking phase, even when they're going back into the defensive structure, and then how they can quickly spring into attacks at instance when they lower the opposition into a full sense of reality and things of that nature. But in terms of the basics of what I've kind of seen at Man United so far, you can tell that they're a team that is in transition mode and they're just kind of learning the things to do and what not to do. And but they still have a lot of bad habits from what I can see, especially with the playing out from the back. The playing out from the back, in my humble opinion, is shambolic. Which is why the goalkeeper tends to go long a lot of the times, because the team, they don't have the type of confidence playing out from the back that the sporting team do. The sporting team, from what I've seen, they when they're circulating the ball at the back, and they're getting pressed, they like to shape as if they're gonna play the ball to the wing back. Hello, am I
Yeah,
still here?
yeah, you're there.
Sorry,
You
I
just
got a
came
call.
back. All is good, bro. That's
All right,
it.
yeah. So as far as I know, they like to shape as if they're going to play the ball to the wing back. That would be the wide centre back. But then they don't pass the ball to them. They generally play the ball into the middle of the field, which is what we don't tend to do often. We tend to do that rarely. And the thing is, the wing backs in the sporting setup, they get used rarely. They just get used for running up and down the pitch and as a last resort to play the ball to. But they don't often play the ball to those players. They try to play the ball down the middle of the field. But Man United don't really do that. We seem to be relying on playing the ball to them as often as possible, and then we get trapped on the wings, and then we lose the ball a lot of the time because either Dorgu or whoever's playing on the right side, whether it's Dallo or Mazraoui or whoever plays there, Ahmad, a lot of the times they haven't really got the pace or whatever it is to get past the players. So we tend to lose the ball because they get locked in on their side of the field when they get impressed by the opposition, and they tend to lose the ball a lot. So the attacks break down a lot, and that we still haven't found out how to link up with the centre forward. Because in the sporting structure, they basically everybody has a set sort of play in terms of what they're supposed to do, but the only people that have freedom in the pitch are the number 10s and the wing backs. They operate with a sense of relationism. They're meant to go around the pitch and build relationships with the people in set structures in order to fool the opposition so we can attack more and score more. But at Man United, we don't do that. We don't look to our striker enough, and when we do look to our striker, a lot of the attacks break down, or he might be a bit hesitant to come out when he's supposed to, or to make certain runs when he's supposed to. So it's still like a work in progress, I would say. Progress, and I think obviously the summer transfer window will address the weaknesses, but I can tell you that we've improved a bit, and the improvements that I've started to see that I like is obviously Amorim adapting to the players. So now he's got Casemiro playing as a single pivot. He's given Ugarte the license to get forward, and the likes of Bruno to get forward. And that's also creating overloads in the center of the pitch. So now the team look more confident playing the ball forward in down the middle because we've got an extra man there as an overload. So now we look a bit more dangerous than we have done in the past. And the wing backs are now also looking more dangerous because of the overload. Now it just means that they got more space now. So, and another positive thing that I've seen is now we're utilizing the left central centre back and the right central centre back as ball carriers. So now you will see people picking up the ball and running forward with it, trying to beat players and trying to slip players in. And that's what I want to see, especially from the likes of Lenny Euro. I've been enjoying it when I see him on the ball, gliding past people and then laying the ball off to his teammates. I've been enjoying that side of the game. And obviously, it's taken quite a long time to see um, the things shaping up into what it's supposed to be, but I would say we're far from there yet. Well, these are the basics, and it's taken 20 odd games for them to actually start to appear. But I believe after a preseason, some new players coming in, maybe if we're lucky, we might get at least one or two players that know the system, whether it's from another club that they was playing that same particular system and they've now coming into Manchester United playing it, or it's through his old club where he's got players that he's comfortable with, that he trusts, and they can come and help us implement the system and play it with a bit more fluidity. I believe when we're able to play that system a bit more fluid, that's when you'll now start seeing that's when we'll now start reaping the rewards and putting teams to the sword. I know a lot of people have said, "Oh, the system is not good. The system is not good," but no. If you actually go back and watch how Sporting used to slap teams about, you'll know that the system is a good system. You just need players that have bought into what the manager wants and are ready to run into brick walls for the manager. When you get that, you get a team that's ready to pretty much kill every single game, like they used to do for Sir Alex Ferguson. The team bought into the manager's system. They're ready to run into brick walls. They were very fluid. If you even go back and watch them games, look at the way we used to pass the ball around. The ball used to get fizzed all over the place. This Man United team, we play too slow. Like a player will get the ball, he'll stop the ball, he'll now look around after he's trapped the ball. Okay, then he passes to the player next to him, an obvious pass. And we do that a lot. But once we get fluid, we'll become more unpredictable, especially with the passing. We start popping off the passing, pop, 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 pop. It gives the opposition no time to settle down. It gives them more things to worry about. And I wouldn't be surprised if we score more goals as a result. But that's what I gotta say.
Interesting. I see Irfan is in the comments. Irfan, what are your thoughts, bro? Big up to Karen as well. Karen is in the building. Guys, what are your thoughts? Do you guys think the implementation of Amorim system so far has it been a success, guys? What are your thoughts on Amorim so far? Have you seen any improvement from the first 10 games to the last 10 games? Do you see something that tells you, Amorim has improved or his system is working, is starting to show some fruition. The players are understanding, or we need better players, or, even though the players are understanding, we still need something more. Let me know in the comments, guys. That was Bali Tech's opinion on the situation. I can't say I really disagree with what he's saying. To be fair, big up to Prince Hood as well. Big up to Princeton in the building. What I can say is this, guys. I totally agree to an extent with Bali Tech. However, I can say, in my opinion, I'm a little bit more optimistic. So, in a way, I kind of think it's been some form of a basic success. And when I say a basic success, I think, Amorim has been implementing the system from the day one he came in. This team, they played a 4-3-3. It's kind of similar, but not really the same. Like the wing backs still don't understand that they need to be higher up, closer, more up to the midfield, to give more room and more options to the midfielders as well, the cam, the deep line playmaker in those situations, like in Sporting does. But at the same time, I do think I've seen improvements from certain players in different parts of the field. Garnacho has started showing, a lot of promise in this left 10 role, even when he's playing in the right 10 role. He gets out wide, he cuts inside. He's been, keeping it narrow in the for the most part. There have been some moments where he's get out wide, but he still comes in. He drags players away. I've seen in the last 3 games, Hoyland has improved somewhat. He might not have had the goals to say, well, he's been scoring consistently, but his performance, especially in the last game, drew the penalty as well. There were some good moments, and I think, for what it's worth, for 5 months of being a coach at Man United in a tough situation with some players who may not really be good enough and some players who are developing and a few senior pros who can handle what he's asking for. I think it's been a somewhat of a success, and I would say I'm looking forward to see what bolster in the squad this summer does and how it improves the team in the next season. Because when I say that, I could say that the players that we have right now, they're starting to understand the basic requirements of the system, how much running is needed, you know, what is expected from them in each of their roles, which is was different to before. And what if we was to add a trincao, like Irfan is saying in in the chat, if we add a trincao to that in the summer, I mean, that's probably going to depend on if we win the Europa League to see we have money in order to make some more dynamic changes to the squad. I think we're going to see something much better next season. I mean, we had a reserve team out against Wolves and it was a 4-3 scoreline. 5, 10 minutes more in the game, it could have been a Man United comeback. And we started a game with reserve players, players who usually are on the bench, a lot of youngsters, you know. So yeah, I'm not too disappointed because in the same time, I felt like if it was our best players like Bruno and stuff on the pitch against Wolves, up against Hemi Wolves, Brentford this weekend, we might have came away with a victory. I'm usually optimistic and I didn't expect a win. Yeah, I was thinking if we could get a result, I'll be happy. To be honest, everything is on Europa League. I'm not giving them an excuse to lose games and have poor performances because the Europa League is more important to us right now. But at the same time, you still see we still saw something from the team in that game. We went down 4-1 and was fighting back to 4-3, and we looked pretty dominant in some moments. And it wasn't like we had Bruno on the pitch. We didn't have a Hoyland on the pitch. It was young Chido Obi. It was the likes of Kobe Menu, Amas, Friedrichsen, young players who were really doing the business. And of course, some senior pros like Christian Eriksen was there. Luke Shaw didn't really cover himself in glory. Lenny Oro showed himself as well. So I'm saying, guys, there is some improvement. You know what I mean? It's maybe not to the level of what we expected initially or what some of us might have expected initially, but I think I see some improvement. And I think this guy definitely deserves some more time. And he definitely deserves a transfer window that will bring him players who can definitely make a huge impact right now. And I'm talking about we're gonna have to get a few senior pros. You know what I mean? I see Irfan is here saying we had to look at the modern Cape, all the teams caught up with United, and it's a situation where, even make Lindelof feel more comfortable in the system with the 3-5-2. And that shows some adaptation from Amorim because, like, of course, we all of us who watch a lot of football, we know some things about Amorim. I may not have done the amount of research that Bali has done, but I can tell that there are certain things about the number 10s in the system and the way they function, the wing backs, how they function in the system. And, I'm not fully seeing that at Man United yet, but I'm seeing glimpses in certain moments. And this is because we have players who are converting to play these roles. Ahmad playing on the right wing back, sometimes he might play in the 10. Garnacho is not the real 10. He's a winger that's converting. To have players like Dorgu who still have a lot of development to go to. Hoyland as well, a horrible season for him, but showing some improvement. Like I would say leaps and bounds improvement in the last couple games, but we still need a senior professional to lead this line. We need guaranteed goals. Yeah, also we need a strong squad. We need a squad that could back up. And with the performances I seen yesterday, there are some youngsters who we can turn to, but we need some senior pros still because not really to transfer talk this stream, but there are players leaving in the summer, and it might not be sales; it might be leaving for free, like Christian Eriksen, like Victor Lindelof. You know what I mean? Johnny
You,
Evans
you
is
know,
leaving.
do you know one thing I remember telling you about the roles and responsibility of the 210s, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I basically told you that both of them they have similar roles, but it's kind of different,
Mm-hmm.
right? So the left 10, they are like they operate like a second striker. They do get assists as well, but their main role is to operate like a second striker, like a number 10 striker. right? You know, like how Paul Scholes used to operate back in the day when he was playing behind the striker.
Yeah, yeah.
He he used to operate as a second striker. It's the then you know you got your like how can I say like a Mesut Ozil. You know,
Mm-hmm.
he more operates as a man who, yeah, he can get goals, but he's gonna get loads of assists through playing behind the striker.
True.
That will be the right striker. Now, I can give you an example of when you see two different types of players. No, the same player playing the both roles, but playing them differently. So, as an example, Alejandro Garnacho, when he plays as a left hand, he doesn't even look for Hoyland. He just looks for the goal all the time. He's banging the ball over all the time, striking on goal, striking on goal. He's getting loads of shots. But when he plays right 10, he's always looking for people. He might not look for Hoyland, but he's looking for other players to play in, or
Mm-hmm.
he's doing cutbacks and things of that nature. So that these are all a part of the research that I've done. So I can understand. Okay, the right 10, they're trying to get assists. Goals are not really their main thing, although they can score a goal. Yeah, if the opportunity presents itself, shoot. But you're mainly looking to dribble past people, stretch the play, do link ups, look for your teammates to score goals. Balls into the box. That's what you're looking to do. Left hand, ball carrying, link up play, shoot on sight, or run beyond your center forward. If you link up with them, you might be the guy who's ahead of the play now, receiving the final pass. So that's what. So when we're linked with people like Cunha, I can understand what they're trying to do with the signing because he has the capabilities of utilizing his pace, strong ball carrying, shooting on sight, shooting from outside the box as well as inside the box. And I think his XG, he's basically he's outperformed his XG this season, and he scores from low quality angles that he's not really supposed to score from. He's actually scored quite a few goals from these angles. So in terms of our goal scoring conundrum, which we do have, I think he can help alleviate it a bit. But what will help alleviate our goal scoring conundrum even more is getting a good right 10. That right 10 and a
Trincao,
strike, exactly, a good right 10 who is going to be setting up
Turkey.
the team. Yes, a good right 10 that can set the team up with opportunities time after time again, especially with a senior striker there. You know that person's going to finish that dinner more time often than not. And that's what I'm concerned that we only get one number 10 instead of two. We need two number 10s in the summer.
Well, maybe we might have to go creative to get two. Maybe we'd spend 60 on Trincao and Turkey than 60 on Cunha. You know what I mean? I don't know about Mandem, but I feel like Cunha, I feel like Trincao and Turkey at 60, 65 million collectively is a better deal than Cunha at 60 million. In my opinion, I think Turkey will be more creative than he, and I think Trincao will supply the goals that he would have supplied if he came.
Um, I mean, that remains to be seen. However, I really have seen the correct sample size of what Cunha can do in the Premier League for a team like Wolves. And obviously, if he came to Manchester United and you gave him that sort of big stage, he does have the type of personality that I like as far as a player who's confident in his own ability. And I feel like in Manchester United, that's what we're lacking. We're lacking the characters in the forward line that stick out their chests and say, I'm going to put this on my shoulders, yeah? And if it don't go right, blame me. We haven't really got those type of players. You see
True.
people like Rashford that we had, yeah. He doesn't have that. I'm gonna put it on my shoulders, and if it goes wrong, blame me. Because you can see there's games where his head is just down, and that's not Cunha. Cunha plays the game with a smile on his face and pure confidence in his ability. So when I say we need players who can take the game to the opposition like Eric Cantona used to, yeah. Not to say that Cunha is Eric Cantona is a different player, but he has that aura that says I'm pushing out my chest, I'm taking the game by the scruff at the neck. Fuck the opposition. We win in this game today, and that's what I want to see. Now, as far as Ryan Cherky goes or Trincao goes, I don't mind any one of those lads, but I think they should be in addition to Mateus Cunha rather than we'll go for both of them because at the end of the day, both one of them's played in the Premier League with Wolves. He ended up at Sporting. I'm not gonna be one of these guys that are like, oh yeah, he failed at Sporting. He could have just, I mean, he failed at Wolves. He could have gone to Sporting for whatever reason. I'm not quite clued up on the reason as to why he went or whether it works out in England for him or not. But since he's gone back to Sporting or gone back to his country, he's improved as a footballer. He's leveled up and now he's in his prime. Can he come back to England? Yeah, of course he can come back to England and show the type of things that he should have been showing at Wolves. Yeah, of course he can come back to England. He came to England in the first place because they felt like he was good. So, but I'm cool with either one of them. Well, even though I think Cherky might have a higher ceiling because he's 21 and he's younger, but is this about the higher ceiling now or is this about right now? Because I think that's what the fan base have to understand is are we playing for right now or are we playing for like 3-4 years down the line? Because right now we're 14th, we're flirting with relegation this season. Yes, we've weakened the team by giving Rashford and some other players to other clubs and not allowing Mason Greenwood to come back home and getting rid of Alvaro Fernandez and mistakes of that nature, right?
True.
However, we're in the situation that we're in and the club is making the decisions that they're making and hopefully this summer they can now start to rectify some of the decisions that they're making by making shrewd signings. Now, if we sign players from the Premier League, I believe you can't sign them all from the Premier League, but if we can get at least three from the Premier League, maybe three, maybe four, I believe in key areas, I believe we go higher up the table. Why? Because they haven't got to adapt. They haven't got to move their whole family to another country and another culture. These men have already been here. A lot of the players know each other. They're all hugging each other up in the tunnel and everything else. Some of these guys are already in the players' WhatsApps. These stadiums are nothing new to them. They play in these stadiums week in, week out. All it is putting your stuff in a box in a van and going up the motorway to somewhere else within the same
True.
country. It's the same
True.
weather, and the adaptation to the Premier League is minimal. It's very, very minimal, and especially if we're buying players that are already playing a similar system to us. Like if we're buying people
I
from
I
Crystal
I
Palace,
kind of
as an
agree,
example.
but I kind of
Yeah,
also disagree because a similar system don't mean the same system. And to be honest, I don't rate Eberiche Eze at all. I think he's overrated. And I mean, I don't think he's worth 50 or 40 million anyway. Hopefully they sell him for cheaper. We'll see how it goes. I see Drex
yeah.
has pulled up. I'm gonna
But
bring him live.
what about Mateta? Yeah, because he's not the
I
only person
like I
that.
see like bro, like I tell you before, any senior striker, I taking it because I need a senior striker because I have two young strikers there. One is have all the instinct in the world, and the next one need to learn from somebody. Yeah, and I feel like if we get a senior striker, we go score consistent goals because he will bag at least 15 goals. Mateta in this system scoring at least 10, 15 goals. I sure about that. yeah, and you had these other brothers to chip in when he tired. And by that time, you go have men like Chilky banging in goals. You go have other men like Bruno banging in goals. It go have Ahmad. It go have probably have Garnacho if unless you sell him to buy Cunha or whatever. But it go have men other than that to bang in goals. So if we can't get a real bad boy like Gyökeres or a bad boy like Osimhen, I mean I mightn't rate him, but he's a senior striker that a lot of people rate as well. I just don't like the guy, but that's not football. You know, he is a footballer, so he's an option. And either one of them three fellas, bro, I still think we do a good job. Even if we get another senior striker, probably this guy is I forget his name, bro. From but to have this striker that they're looking at from the Bundesliga, Hoffenheim. Don't know, bro. Don't know. But let me hear what Drek's opinion is on the big question that I've been asking tonight. Big up to Drex in the building. Long time I ain't get Drex on our stream. Big up to my
Bro, why you
brethren.
saying?
I did, bro. But as you know, we asking the question and you're coming at the right time. The show about to end. So let me hear your opinion. What do you think, whether it's on a small measure, intermediate, minuscule, basic, or advanced level? If you see improvement in the last 10 games as opposed to the first 10 games, has Amorim's system implementation been a success or has it been a failure? What are your thoughts?
Yo, but first, big up, Betty. How you doing, bro?
I'm good, brother. It's nice to have you on the stream, bro.
Big up, man. Pleasure is mine. It's an honor to be here. First of all, like in the past 10 games, right? I think I said it. You could see improvement. There's improvement in the way the play, the style of play. Now there's improvement with some players. There's some obvious improvement in the confidence of some of the players. Like we all know how Kenacho has actually adapted or tried to improve his game. He still does the odd try to shoot, try to take the hero, be the hero kind of thing. But his all around game since since the last 5, 6 games, right, has really improved. And I know during the transfer window, I was one of them guys that said, you know what, if this kid still continues with all of this selfish play and the oh I kind of thing, then move him on. I want players that will do the we as to the I, When I mean we, I'm talking about team. But yeah, there's improvement. It's just I feel like it's the quality. It's a case of maximizing everybody's potential, and you still know that, okay, you know what, I need to add some quality to what we have at the moment, or replace some of these players with good quality. Then you will see the full materialization of the system. So far, the league, we all know, we could debate that from now till the fat lady sings or whatever it is. It's not going to change. The league, we all know the league was in quote unquote forfeited when they did not sack Ten Hag at the start of the season, but decided to sack him 6 games into the season, right? And brought somebody in with a different style of play, a different system. So for me, I don't really it's a shame where we are at the league, like what Bailey said. We are flirting. We actually did flirt with relegation. Relegation said, yo, you know what? I'm not choosing you guys. I'm gonna choose them three down there. So that was the case. But so far, the last 10, I wouldn't go as far as 10. I would just say the last 6, 7 games, you could see the improvement. They were sometimes 7 games ago, it was a little bit minuscule, but right now it's looking like, okay, everybody's we're coming to the business end or the latter stage of the closing of the Premier League, and everybody, whether it's for their own selfish reason or it's just a thing that has been materializing with the coaching setup and all of that, everybody seems to get on board with what is required of them from the coach. Everybody, whether we call players these, call players names and all of that, you could see everybody in that team wants to be a team player. They're playing for the manager, they're playing for their self, and they're playing for their teammates. So that, which is the most important one, playing for the teammates, and everybody's doing that. Some are doing it to the T. Some are, you would say, okay, there's still few areas that need to be fine-tuned, but they are doing it. You cannot take it away from them. You cannot discredit them on that one. They are actually playing for the team, playing for the manager, and as well playing for the fans and themselves. So it's good to see. The result on the pitch might not be that great, but you could see that everybody's trying to implement what the manager has put is saying to them. The first 10 game, not so much. There was so many disjointedness in the team. But the last 10, like what you're saying, Mark, everybody's coming to terms with what's expected of them.
100. And if you and since me and Bali went on to talk a little bit about possible transfers, because we have a midfield argument. He like Cunha, I like Cherky and Trincao. If you had to, and we both agree on we need a senior striker to come in and bring and secure proper goals for the team consistently. You know, but what are your thoughts? If you had to choose two or three players to bring in into the club that you think could definitely make an impact and improve Man United going into the next season, added to what we have. Yeah. So let me say a striker and two midfielders, or a striker, midfielder, and a defender. Whichever one out of the three you decide, who will it be and why.
Okay, for me, it's a case of a striker. We cannot over percent what it's needed, and I like the name Bailey put up there. I know towards the end of this conversation, he called Mateta, which I it might not be a fan's favorite, but I like the guy, right? So it's not something new for me. I like Mateta. I feel like it would suit the system, and what Bailey was also saying about not going too far to bring players in, bring players that are already here. That adaptation won't be a problem, and Mateta suits that thing for me. Cunha, on the other hand, it fits that build as well. I know the likes of Cherokee, Trincao, a lot of people have been raving about these guys. It's deal that you can do, but for me, when I was drawing up, I think earlier, late last week, I was trying to draw up a starting 11 as well as a substitute. I had a striker in Osimhen, Gyökeres, or Mateta, and Oyland playing the substitute. Then I have on the two tens, I had Cunha and Zexi, with Genacho and Cherky playing as the substitute coming off the bench. Then on the wing back, I had Ahmad. Then on the left, I had Dogu. But there was something that was missing in the midfield. I had, for Ugate's position, the CDM, I had Ugarte Casimiro with a quote on it if he leaves. But when it came to Bruno, I was like, okay, there was nobody in the middle. If something happens to Bruno, I know there's Kolia, but I haven't heard much about him in a while, right? So I'm like, if something happens to Bruno, who's going to be playing that? Maino, is it Maino? Because it was a question mark for me as well. Is it Maino? Well, so answering your question, I would need a striker. I would want us to get, before we even get another 10, which is Cunha, right? A 10. And that midfield has to be dealt with. That central attacking, that central midfield has to be dealt with, not so much the CDM part, not so much the defensive midfielder position, but that, because you could play Casemiro and Ugarte in certain games. But what I'm trying to say is play one central midfielder and a central defensive midfielder. But if you take out Bruno, if something, God forbid, but something happens to Bruno, I'm looking like, who's gonna come in? And I know, Mark, you have names of the youth team and all of that, right? But these are
Yeah,
positions
it
that
has
we
some
really,
talents, man. It has some
yeah,
talents, but
yeah.
still,
But
bro,
this
Bruno,
is a
I
position
like,
we need to
like,
actually look
like,
at.
I don't know, Adrex, but when we talk about Bruno, yeah, I don't really see, unless we go in far. I mean, unless we
No, I'm
bring
not
in a
saying sell
Cherky,
Bruno. I'm not saying
if we
sell
bring in
Bruno.
a Cherky, if we bring in
Mm-hmm,
a Cherky, I could
mm-hmm,
see Cherky being our backup for Bruno, if you understand.
mm-hmm,
He could play
mm-hmm.
with Bruno, but he could also, if Bruno not there, I
You
feel
could
like
take
he
that
could
load.
he could control the tempo of the team. We've seen him
Mm-hmm,
do it for Olympic against
mm-hmm,
us. Yeah,
mm-hmm,
and we've seen him turn up the heat and the
mm-hmm,
team follow suit. Yeah. And he create well. Now I don't I like Kobe Minu. I know a lot of people feel like his best position is at 10. I think he's a hybrid midfielder. I think he's better in a deeper position, but allowed to go forward. Because I watched him in the game and as well as in the game where he played false nine. he is good in the attacking third, but he's not that creative in the sense that he will hold the ball and open up a lane for a player and slot a player through like a Bruno would do, or like let me say even like a Chilkey would do. You know what I mean? He has his merits. He's good
Mm.
on the ball. He's good in tight spaces. He could create a space for himself to shoot and get into into chances and dangerous positions. But I wouldn't say he's that creator to put in the 10. Like if Bruno is out of the team, we have Kobe Minu, you know? And I think that would be unfair to put him in that category as well. Bruno is a lot to replace. You know what I mean? The dude is beyond beyond creative, bro.
No,
He's
no, for
just
me,
ooze
I'm
options.
I'm not saying
And he
that we
have the
should
pass
part ways.
range to deliver.
Yeah, I don't say we should part ways. I'm just saying that when I was checking it, just to answer your question, when I was checking, I think and like someone is saying right there, the defense, I believe the defense is okay. We just need to beef up that midfield beat, especially in the final third. Because we look at our games this season, and I know Bailey is here. Bailey has said a lot about it. That final third, that attacking phase, the final third where things needs to be done in Bailey's word, it stinks, man. It stinks. You look at it and like it's not enough. The defense can carry you so far to the farthest that they can. It's just for the attacking. Imagine playing a team and your defenders are keeping you in that game for 65, 70 minutes, and your attackers are not doing what they need to do to actually maybe take a lead or something. And if for some reason the defense slips up, you concede a goal, and everybody's like, okay, the defenders did a mistake. But you forget that they've been holding the game for like 60, 65 minutes, 70 minutes, but the attacking line is being blunt. So in that we need to revamp that place. For the defense, if we don't really do anything in the summer transfer to bring in a body in the defense, I won't be too bothered. But you see that attacking phase, man, we cannot go into next season with that with what we have at the moment. And it is no disrespect or no dig to any of the players up there. We've seen it's like knowing what their shortfalls is. We've seen their marks. We know their weakness. So going into the next season and hoping that some of those things change, it's like we're just playing in fool's paradise. We're living in fool's paradise.
Well, not really. Well, not with the young players, bro, because realistically, I feel like the young players still have room to change. I still think that they are evolving. And
Mhm.
Garnacho could be a testament to that because his evolution this season is something to look at because it should be studied there because this youth man was the beginning of the season. He had some good performances. He had a bad game. We lost and they hammered him. Yeah. The fans
Mhm.
hammered him for like weeks and he had a rough patch. And then he went on a go. He had a little purple patch of scoring goals and getting assists. And then he went on a drought again when around the time when everybody was trying to sell him during the transfer window in January and all this selling talk. He wasn't. And then he start and then right before the window end, he started to score goals and he started to improve and he's been improving game by game, week after week. Yeah. And I think sometimes, pressure is more diamonds, and he might not only be the player that we wanted or we needed at the start of the season, but coming to the end of the season, I starting to feel like we could be making a mistake selling this kid. And I'm not saying that to say, well, don't buy Cunha. I mean, if we still buy Cunha and keep Garnacho, even better because he's our
Oh
option.
yeah,
You understand?
I like the idea of buying Cunha or buying another attacking midfielder and keeping Gena,
Because now,
because everybody,
honestly,
Mark, just hear me
go
out.
ahead, go ahead.
Everybody's talking about. I know a lot of us we talk about okay, get a seasoned striker so the likes of Hoyland and even Zexi to an extent can gain experience, can learn a thing or
Mhm.
two from. But we also need to have somebody that is playing that number 10 role that is quote unquote, don't get me wrong now, quote unquote, a specialist, let me use that word, right? That Ganache can actually pick a thing or two from. You understand what I mean? It
Mhm.
might not be the best, right? But allowing asking Ganache to find his path when you can actually bring somebody that can actually guide him in some areas, not all areas, right?
But
So
true,
to
true.
help him, yeah, to help him. So whilst we're talking about getting a seasoned striker to help Oiland, quote unquote, we also need to consider Ganache as well. He's young. He's
Yeah, well, I
young.
mean, to consider again
Mhm.
as senior, let me say, if you was to say that, then Trinker would be the best option because of all the 10 options we have
I
on the
don't care who
list.
it is. I don't care who
He,
if it's
but
Cunha or
I'm just
Trent.
saying,
Yeah.
technically, he would be the
Mhm.
best option because he's the most experienced player as a 10, as a
Mhm.
midfield attacking 10, you know. Plus, he does also, he also plays the opposite role where he, is more direct and goes for goal more often. He goes out to the wing as well sometimes. So I think that might be a player because he could also, like Irfan is saying, be an option if Bruno is injured. He is creative. He can score goals. You know what I mean? He has that ability to lead a team as well. I think he brings a bunch of dynamics that makes him more, for me, he's more the player I would hope that Man United would go all in for because it's like 40 million pounds and it leaves us 20 million pounds to still get Chilky. You know what I mean? We could sell to buy and still buy Cunha. I'm
Yeah,
not saying,
how about we buy Mateta for like 40 and we still have like 20 to buy or 30 to buy the Cherokee guy or something. So it's
yeah,
how
we could we could do all three. We could do all four. We could buy
yeah.
all four of them. You know what I mean? Like if I was the man signing checks, I buy in all four. You know what I mean? Because I want to have options up front. I like to have options. You know what I'm saying? And United used to have a four striking core, and Cunha
Okay.
for the last 5 seasons was a striker. So he could also fill in a role as a striker. Now he's been playing the 10 role this season, blossoming in the 10 role. So he could play the 10 role as well. It's a multifunction. He could probably help Xerxes a lot as well. Because he's that flexible type of player that Xerxes is, but he's more lethal with shots and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But
I
yeah,
hear you. I hear you. I hear
I
you. For
mean,
me,
I
I just
know,
go ahead.
obviously, for me, I know people are dead set on some specific names like Trincao and a Cherokee, but I would be more than happy with like a Cunha, an Embuemo, a Semenyo, like a Tyler Diblin, Suleimane, like players that
Suleimani.
I've seen play
Suleimani.
in the Premier League. I will be more than happy if they were able to come to Man United. And I'm not saying that I don't want foreigners to come from another league. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if we can't get them as a first option, then
Option,
I'm
yeah.
happy to go with the second option, which is a Trincao, a Cherokee, whoever from wherever that is good. I'm happy to get them if we can't get the Premier League guys, because I just think you can't sniff at like a Brian Mbeumo. You see his goal scoring record and his assist record. That's
Okay.
nothing to be sniffed at. Like let's be real. Like you've seen Cunha's
No,
goal
no,
scoring
no, no.
record.
We didn't
That's
mention
nothing to be
Embremo.
sniffed at.
We
Huh?
never
No,
mentioned
no,
Embremo, and if we had mentioned Embremo, I,
no, no.
I would
Daily,
say
I hear you.
But
I hear you,
take
but
them two
Embremo.
man,
Like,
them two
I
man
wouldn't be
behind the central striker like Jokeres
Mhm.
or Mateta. I'm not being funny, but teams need to be scared of us if that's what's in our tunnel. Yeah. The
Oh yes.
problem is we line up against teams that week in, week out, they just seem to feel confident because they don't rate the players that they're coming up against. But
exactly.
if we had Cunha, Mbuemo in the 10 rows and Mateta up front or Jokeres or Osimhen, teams would be scared of us. But they're
I
not
mean, I don't
scared of
think I
us
don't
because we're
realistically think
lining
any
up with
team scared of
Garnacho and
Cunha,
Hoyland.
bro.
Huh?
I don't realistically think much team scared of Cunha, bro. But I
Yeah,
would
you
let that
can't
one
say that.
slide,
Look how many goals he scored in the Premier League, and
bro.
you're telling
How
me
many
teams
goals he
ain't.
scored, bro? 11.
No, no,
I
no.
think I think I think it's more than 11. It's more than
Mark,
11.
you almost made me
It's
forget
No, no, no.
14. He scored 14 in
I
the
really
Premier League.
I really was being sarcastic with you when I say I don't
Okay.
really think
He
much
scored
team scared
14
of
in the
11.
Premier League. Yeah,
But
14 in the
Okay,
Premier League for a number
Daily,
10 is
I want to
fantastic
disagree
numbers.
with I want to
well,
disagree
that's
with
what
you
I
on
keep
something
telling you.
very
He's really
small,
a
right?
striker, so that's where his criticality come from. But he blossom
Yeah,
in the
but he's
10 role.
scoring goals. He's
He
after
blossomed in the
Bruno
10 role.
Fernandes. After Bruno Fernandes, he scored the most goals from outside the box. So He's actually
Come on, I
playing
have the
as a
correct
number
with
10.
correct score here. 15 G and 6 assists.
That's that's
So, so,
that's good.
so,
That's good.
so,
100%.
so
That's
he's
good for me.
he's actually scoring a lot of goals from outside the box as well.
But Bailey, my question to you:
Ah,
what do you see in Semenyo? I know maybe you just mentioned his name in
no,
passing, but what do you
Semenyo is
see in
not a bad
Semenyo?
player at all,
Well, like I
to be
really
fair.
what's I just see Semenyo as
But
more of a P and P, bro.
pace and
Yeah,
power,
Yeah, that's
I
nah.
don't
it.
think he's just pace
Semenyo
and
have real
power. He's
ball
a good
control,
dribbler
bro.
as well.
He's a
He's a
very
good
good
dribbler
dribbler.
as well. Very good
But
dribbler.
instead of let me discuss
No, but
this player first. I know,
I'm
I
not,
know
I'm
you
not,
want to
I'm
talk
not cursing the
about
player.
him.
I'm just saying, Bailey, I hear what you say in terms of bring men that this defender already know that they're dangerous. Bring them in. I get you. I like that. If we cannot get them, then we can go, okay, you know what, let's get the best out there. You know what I'm saying? Because Ferguson used to do it. Ferguson used to go to these clubs and look for their best players and actually, bring them in and what's not.
True.
I like the fact also when you say team needs to be scared of, because I've been saying it several times. Like we are too easy to play against, not because of our system, but because they know some of our players, they can bully them off the ball, right? And maybe I'm the likes of Bailey are just the ones that just we are the minority. But I like this team to have a fight in them from the start to the finish. They're doing it right now, but I just feel like the bodies, the individuals or the players we have are not really cut out for these fights that we're looking out for. Maybe I'm
I
wrong.
wouldn't really. I mean, one or two of the senior pros and things, certain man them like Lindelof, nah. Luke Shaw, he ain't cut out for that. Them fellas ain't had a hardship in them. But some of the youngsters, given time, like I say, we have plenty developing players. Even in the starting lineup, we have 4 of them, and even in the reserve team that played this weekend, it had 6 of them. And in my honest opinion, them brothers, they could develop, but we need some senior pros in the middle of that to kind of give them a lighter guide. Like this Sulamane brother that he mentioned. That fella tear we up, and he's played for Southampton. Left wing back, brother. He is the left wing back of our dreams. Me lying to tell only because we getting Diego Leone in 6 weeks. He's on his way. He should be arriving in 6 weeks. He should probably even be at the final if we make it to the final, watching in the stands. Yeah, that I really cry in tears, But Suleimani, I would love to get him at Man United, bro. That fella impressed me, and is rare that players has impressed me after I watch them once, and I watch couple games. He don't get plenty minutes at Southampton, but he's a player that no matter which team he come on against, he's play with no fear. And I
Mm.
like them kind of vibes. And he had real ability, bags ability, he had pace, dribbling, he could cross the ball, both-footed. He's a threat. And I think in our system,
You know
if we
what's
was
going
to
on?
had buy him for left wing back,
Hey, what in there?
our season would have ended differently.
We're gonna
Just
get
say
dressed and
that.
go to
In the
the church.
Prem, in the Prem wise, because we're going to win the Europa League. But last 5 minutes, guys, we went over time, but small thing. Legends in the house. What are your thoughts, guys? Final thoughts on what we've been talking about? Bali definitely wants to see Cunha. Can't blame him. He's been performing this season as Kamal was showing us just now. Drex wouldn't mind a senior striker like Mateta. Bali
Bro,
agrees. I agree.
give me Jokeres. That's my number one, bro. That guy. Mark, you were here when I was saying you were there when I was saying it last two
Yeah, I was
seasons
there,
ago.
bro. I was
When I
there.
was saying get Jokeres, and everybody was like, why? And I said, even if not for nothing, I know I said this. I said, even if not for his ability, get me because of the celebration. Everybody was laughing. I'm like, yo, that guy,
Yeah,
have you
yeah,
seen
the
him
man with
play?
the being celebration.
Yeah, yeah.
No, but what I would tell all the guys is we could buy all them players. I just want we to buy Chilkey, bro. Because I know the
I,
number 10 that
I
brother
like
going to develop into. Gonna be world class. Unstoppable. And it's better we get him now for 20, 30 million. Hopefully there's a God and his release clause is still at 20 million euros. And we could snatch him in the summer first dibs. Because brother, that youth is going to be a monster. And in our team, if we had that guy, Trust me, I add in a goal and a half to every game we play before the game start next season. Telling you. And all I know I like to predict 4 nils. Well, you know the 4 nils will be reality. I just saying. I just saying. I just saying.
I hear you, Mark. I hear you. Big up, Billy.
Now, I
Big up,
mean,
man, in the
imagine
chat.
adding Cunha to that and a Gyökeres. Oh God, well, I could bet every game we're going to score 4 because with Bruno and them three, we had
Oh,
to score 4 at least per game. And no teams will be scared of we then. If they see Cunha, Gyökeres, Chilky, Bruno, whoever else, Ahmad, Garnacho, whoever else there is cool. But them 4 men stand up in that lineup waiting for you. Yeah, I could
but
agree with Bali. Teams will be scared. Squad depth for wing backs. We are real squad depth for wing backs right now, bro. You see Harry Amas? Have you seen him? Yeah,
how is
men
small
don't
they
hear me,
can
yeah, but
play,
I
bro?
just tell men that young Matters better than him, eh? But he's more defensive, but he's a better wing back, in my honest opinion. He don't have the attacking prowess as Amas, but when it comes to wing back up and down and being defensive, I think he better, in my opinion. But and there's other options. We have young Diego Leone coming in. That's another wing back option. There's Dorgu, there's Dallo. You know what I'm saying? There's Mazarawi. We have options. We have options. There's Ethan Williams. You know what I mean? You have
Jaden Camerton,
there's Camerson. There's
there's
there's the next.
Bentito Mantato.
There's Bendito Mantato. There's
Benito,
Oganayi as well.
that's
Yeah.
Billy's son. Billy, you need to tell us that's your son. You're just keeping it quiet for now. The way you
Who's
love
that?
that kid.
Camerson?
No, no, no. The Benito guy is
Mantato?
the
Nah,
Mantato. Billy is
Mantato.
But I like both of them. I really like
Mantato's a
both of them.
Spanish youth.
I really like both of them. I'm just hoping that the manager gives them a chance before the end of the season because I was against the Quenda signing. Not because I don't think he's a good player. I think he's a good player, but I think if you're gonna spend that sort of cash, like near enough 50 million, 45 to 50 million on a 17-year-old, you can't tell me that Quenda is head and shoulders above Ben Tito Mantato or Jaden Camerson. I watch all three of them play, and all three of them have good decision making. So you
100.
can't hit me with the decision making. All three of them have ability. So you can't hit me with the ability. The only difference is that he's been given a chance and the other two haven't. But if
yeah.
they start getting more chances in the first team, I believe the fan base will be quietly surprised how good these two young men are.
Well, you don't have to tell me about them fellas, bro. I just watch them week in, week out. I know some others have started watching them as well, as we always be talking about these youths, Bali. You know what I'm saying? Big up to LT in the building. LT says, I think the team is now getting used to their jobs and are committed, just that some are not good enough. And we have a slim squad right now. Our recent games has given him hope despite the Premier League results so far. Big up to LT in the building, bro. Long time no see. Glad to have you in the building. Big up to Kamal as well. I mean, I think as you said, Kamal, as I said to you guys, we have a lot of squad depth. It's going to be an interesting for the CL and the Prem, Kamal. Trust what I'm saying. I must don't doubt that youngster. Trust me, he showed good levels to play against Wolves the way he and Fredrickson played against Wolves off the left. You don't just do that on a debut, bro. And you had to give them the jacket. There's youngsters, but they're showing mature performances. Look at the game we played this weekend. No, a normal youngster might have given up at 4-1. We could have go to 5-6-7-1 if them two youngsters didn't have some form of football intelligence, gut strength and that determination to fight because bro, it was 4-1. And them two young men never stopped playing. They didn't come off the pitch until the whistle blew. You understand? And they would have been part of the fact that the reason why we were coming back in the game. And well, Diego Leone, I don't want to hype up the young man. but he's a P&P player. He has pace and power, but he has dribbling ability as well. He has a very keen eye for reading the game. He gets a lot of assists for the team he's currently playing for. His first couple games for Panama, he's get assists. He plays on the national under 20 as well as the under 17. He's only 17. He just turned 18 recently. So I think it's going to be interesting. The wing back situation for me is not really a bad situation. I think right now it's more likely that, in next season we will see much more improvement. There will be more competition for places as well. So guys, big up to Drex in the building, and big up to Bali Tech for coming through, and big up to each and every one of you for being here. Don't forget to smash a like, leave a comment on your way out, and please share it around. It really helps the channel grow, and your boy will be bringing more content like this to you. Of course, we bring you the intellectual conversations as well. Everyone's talking transfers. Of course, that's important, but it's not yet the window. So we will talk about transfers tomorrow. But for right now, if you haven't caught the show live and you're in the section, please leave your opinions. Let us know what you think. Has Amorim system implementation been a success? To what extent? And how do you really feel? Big up to each and every one of you. It's been your boy Mark N, MUFC fan, Bali Tech, and Admiral Drex. And we'll be seeing you guys later on. Catch you later.